Hello everybody, I thought today I would have a go at filming a VR to the lovely Sylvain over at Sylvain's Deadly Sins, and it's a sinful tag. It's his 7 decks for 7 deadly sins tags. Now I've absolutely been loving watching everything that Sylvain's filming. I just think he's absolutely fantastic. I love this tag. I've been all over the responses to it, so I've dragged myself out of my sick bed because I haven't been very well this week, and I thought I would film a VR. So the first prompt is Pride, a deck that you purchased for flexing. Well, I don't think I've ever purchased a deck for flexing, but this deck was the first indie tarot that I ever treated myself to. And it's the Luminous Void Tarot by Lara Zussman. Now, when I first got into the tarot, saw the price of indie decks, I honestly didn't think that I would ever get one, because basically it was just, I was already outpriced even before prices went up this year. However, this deck, the watercolours, the soft gentle watercolours in this deck, I kept coming back to it over and over, and I just loved it. So I saved, and for that Christmas of my first year in tarot, I bought this and I just have loved it. I mean, not to flex with, because of course I'm not the only person in the world to have an indie deck, but it just felt so special for me to have treated myself to something like this. It's rose petal finish, but it's not sticky, and I really like the finish on these cards, and I just think they're otherworldly, and I love the soft gentle watercolour. I just love the imagery. I love the dream feel to it. I love that 6 of Cups. The queens and all these crowns are amazing, and yeah, it was just a really special deck. It just felt like internal flexing, if you will. However, there have been 2 decks that have come into my collection this year that I possibly would flex with, only because I found they're both out of print, and I found them both second-hand. I mean, most of my collection is second-hand, just because of the price barrier for me, to be honest. I also love finding second-hand decks. There were some decks on my wish list to do with Celtic mythology that I knew were out of print and I knew I couldn't afford, but I managed to score this one. This is the Celtic Wisdom Tarot pack for, I think I got that for under £30. Now this one, which is Courtney Davis's The Celtic Tarot, which is the first edition of this. I think even the second edition is out of print. I mean, look at the box on this, it's amazing. This I got for £8, and it's going for hundreds. So yeah, so I would flex with these 2, I think, just because of the rarity of finding them and the fact that I found them for such an amazing price. This is the Celtic Wisdom Tarot, which is absolutely lovely. Of course, Celtic mythology is my heritage. I grew up on the Welsh borders and to and from Ireland, and I love this area of spirituality. I work with the Dagda, I work with the Morrigan, I work with Bridget as well. This is Newgrange. Yeah, and it's just a beautiful tarot that ties in to my practice. So I think if I was going to show off any deck, these Celtic decks would be the ones that I would be in danger of flexing with. This Celtic Tarot by Courtney Davis, it comes with a journal. And it also comes with a little guidebook. I mean, just the box itself is gorgeous. And you can see how old it is. I mean, this box is a bit battered, but the cardstock is gorgeous. And this deck is just completely sublime. I thought that it just, for £8, it just must have been a fake. And when it came and I got it out of the box, I just couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe that it was actually real. And then I quickly flew through it and thought, well, are there cards missing? Nope, no cards missing. It's all there and I love it. So those are my flexing decks. Right, the next prompt, while I put this one away, is Greed, a deck that you don't share with anybody. Now, to be honest, because I don't read for the public yet, I only read for family, I read for my kids, I read for friends. Most of my decks are just for me. However, there are some decks I don't think I would read for, used for reading for other people. This is the Mysteries of the Black Madonna tarot deck. You're going to have to excuse the noise outside, the bin men have just arrived. Now, most of the decks I don't think I would share with anybody, are decks that I keep on my altar. So this one lives on my altar. I'm currently working through this deck, card at a time, and studying it. This is new to my collection, and yeah, it's really quite special. So I don't think that this is one that would be I would want to share, just because that connection with Mother Mary is really quite personal, and it's a maternal link, it's a mother energy, it's what I feel has been lacking in my life. It's a warm hug coming out of trauma that I feel like I've really needed, and for me that makes this deck really, really personal. And other decks that live on my altar as well, I don't think I'd share those. So these are my other decks on the altar. We've got the Crow Tarot. I've got my 2 Sacred Geometry decks as well, and also my Weaver's Oracle. I mean, I know Meg has been talking about the ridiculousness of these boxes, and honestly, I'm going to have to throw these out. She's so spot on right. I mean, look at the ridiculousness of this box. Not only is it overpackaged to hell and back and full of plastic, but it's not even good for the cards. Okay, so the 2 Sacred Geometry decks, you can see they've got 2 different backs, but I think I'm going to mix them because the boxes are ridiculously awful. And these are on my altar because I've used these for scrying to connect with deity, and I felt a very strong call to use these decks for that reason. And I've had some amazing experiences at the altar with these decks, using them in that way, and that's why they live on my altar. They feel like a thread connection to the voice of deity, and therefore they are in a different realm for me. You know, I wouldn't just pull them out and pull them as just random oracle cards, because I feel like there's a divine connection with these decks. So that's why they live on my altar, and that's another reason why I wouldn't share them. Also the Crow Tarot, for the same reason. This has been used for readings with the Morrigan, and for that reason, because of what I use it for, I'd be really loath to just use it for general readings. Of course, the whole deck's upside down. There we go. Oh, I love that Knight of Swords. I absolutely love it. I mean, anything sums up my relationship with the Morrigan, it's this card because the Morrigan sent me a white horse from the underworld, and also the crow came to me and it helped me battle a Knight of Swords energy that was attacking me. So yeah, this deck is really, really precious to me, and I don't share it for that reason. And then my other altar deck that I also don't share is the Weaver's Oracle, the gloriously wonderful Weaver's Oracle, which I work with one weaver a month, and the card stays out on my altar for the whole month, and I go on journeys in meditation with that weaver. It isn't, I don't think, a deck that you can use as you would use, say, a tarot or another oracle where you lay out a spread. I don't know how you would use it that way, but I think to fall into the stories in the guidebook, which are quite long for a reason, I think, to fall into those stories and the landscape that those stories bring out, then you can go on meditation trips with these weavers, and you can walk in the landscapes with them, explore their stories with them, and find the message that the weaver has for you through their landscape, through their story, through their essence, through their energy, through their cloth. Yeah, this is just a really magical deck, but you do need to work slower with this deck, and therefore I don't think it would be a deck that would work for readings with others. Right, the next prompt 3 is Wrath, a deck that you are angry at, and that's really easy for me. A knockoff Wildwood Tarot that I didn't pay knockoff money for, because I never would. I just think this sort of scammy intent in the tarot world, with all the scammers that are trying to get money out of people for readings, and the fake Instagram accounts, and the, you know, are we being conned element, it kind of speaks to the consumerism within our community as well. Now, you can see from my other decks that I really love Celtic decks, and I didn't have the Wildwood, I haven't got Druid Craft either. These are all like key decks that I feel like I'm missing. So I saw this one come up on eBay. It was a few pounds cheaper than all the others, which it shouldn't be a red flag, but in this day and age it's becoming that. The picture looked kosher, it all looked fine. Her description said brand new tarot deck, I just haven't wanted to use it. So it all looked fine. When it came, it was this ridiculous, dinky, tiny version. No, complete knockoff. When I approached the woman back and said this is actually a fake deck, and you've not in your description said anything about it being fake, she said, read the description, love, which is like, I said it's new, and it is new. She then sent me a screenshot of the site she'd bought it off to prove that it was new, and the screenshot was one of those family time board game wish pictures that you just seen, you know, is fake, but that isn't the picture she'd put on her description. So I pointed that out to her and said, if you'd have used that picture, I would have known immediately I was buying a fake, but you have made it look like the real thing. And she was adamant that I'd bought what she had promised. So this I was going to use for journaling, but you know what, I don't think I even want to do that. I think I'm just going to put this in the bin because that's just crap. Okay, the next one is Envy, a deck that you wanted because other people had it. So the first one that I'm going to share is my Brow Talej Oracle, which I saw on Autumn's channel, Stillness in Fire. Now she doesn't make videos anymore, which is a real shame, but she shared this deck and I absolutely fell in love with it. When I came to look for it, it was available, so there's the title card. It was available in France, but when I looked they weren't shipping to the UK, and so it was completely out of my reach. So I then I just turned that light off because I think it was flickering. So I then went on a mission to try and find this deck, and I found it secondhand, very, very cheap. I mean, I do have a huge deck collection, but it's virtually 95% of it is secondhand, and it's secondhand bargain secondhand. So that's how I've managed to get so many decks, because I go on a quest. I'm like a dog with a bone when I want a deck. And this was one that I just loved watching Autumn use it, and I just went on a quest. So that's an Oracle deck, but I also have a tarot as well that I saw Lennon Smith working with and using and talking about, the glorious Lennon, and the same thing happened. I knew I couldn't afford it. I don't even know when it wasn't out of print. So I went on a quest and I got this for a steal. I got this, I can't remember now, it might have been about £10, £15, something like that. I waited for it to come secondhand. It hasn't got the box. It came just loose with the book, and yeah, but have I worked with it? No, I haven't. It's one of those that I love the look of, but I just haven't pulled it down to work with it yet. But it was definitely bought because I saw it on Lennon's site and I just really wanted it. I just loved the colours. I loved the landscape element of it. But yeah, that was one that I bought out of envy. Right, the next prompt is Lust, a deck that you like for aesthetic reasons. Well, that's probably all of my decks, to be honest. I just love all of them. I have got one that is still in a box because this was one that I have ordered for myself for Christmas. I am going to just give you a sneak peek and then I'm going to pop it away for Christmas. And this is the Primrose and Prose, an Oracle deck. And this, I literally was simply seduced by the beauty of it. The holographic, pink, shimmery, beautiful gorgeousness of this deck. I mean, look at that. Hello. How could you not? How could you not? I have got this deck out once just to check it was all there and it was okay, and then it's just been sat, packed away, ready for Christmas. So this is a little sneak Christmas present. Look at this deck. Oh my gosh, look at it. Look at it. Isn't it sublime? Oh my gosh. So I'm going to pack that back away for Christmas. That is Sam Sawyer's shop on Etsy, if you are interested in that. No, I've got my sticker. And it was actually the deck that I chose on my Say Yes to the Deck episode with Peggy and Lisa Pepez. So that was fun. So that's, look, packed away, ready to be wrapped for Christmas. And another deck which I was actually gifted, which I am planning to work with over next year, which I also am lustful over the look of it. And for Christmas I tracked down the guidebook, which is out of print and goes for silly money, but I tracked the guidebook down for I think I paid £12 for it. So I finally found the guidebook, which again is going to be wrapped for Christmas. and I haven't worked with this deck yet. I have been reading the little white book that it comes with and just beginning to work through the cards, but this is going to be my main focus deck for next year. And look at it, it is lush. Look at the colours in it. I love this deck. I love the artwork. So this is Navigators of the Mystic Sea Tarot. I love it. You're going to have to excuse my dog in the background. He's massive and he's decided he wants to get into Luna's bed, which is too small for him. So do please ignore the crate creaking in the background. So that is definitely a lost deck as well for me. Right, the next prompt is Gluttony, a deck that you really didn't need but you purchased anyway. Well, that's funny because that's most of them, isn't it? But I've been on Deck the Year this year, but I called it Deck the Year with shopping, and really I don't think it's for buying things. It's not been a deck year. There were two decks that stand out as being impulse buys that I really shouldn't have bought. Chris-Anne and also Scott Alexander King, the Bohemian Animal Tarot. Now Chris-Anne, this ties into my collector's genes. I've got all the other Chris-Anne decks, and I just really wanted this, and I saw the colour of the backs. Oh my god, look at that colourway. That is just a divine colour combination. You've got an octopus on the Ace of Cups. Come on, hello. And the Three of Cups. I mean, the Three of Cups is the card I always look for in a deck because it's Tilly's significator card, and it's also the card she always asks to see. And this is the best Three of Cups I've ever seen. I absolutely love this deck, and it's beautiful. For a Gluttony deck, this was certainly the most amazing buy. It's so sweet, but it's so well done, and the characters in this deck are just everything. I love it. Oh, look at that Queen of Pentacles. So this was a deck that on Deck the Year really was a splurge. You didn't really need to buy it, but there you go, I did. And then this was another deck that Say Yes to the Deck pushed me to, because it was on, I think it was on Wesley's turn on Say Yes to the Deck. Now this is a Rider-Waite clone but done with animals, and it is just adorable. And there is one card in here that made me do it. Let me see if I can find it. Right, let's flick through and see if we can find the card that made me do it. The Temperance card. This card I've said before is the card that always nags me because I'm not very balanced. Nothing about my personality is balanced or in moderation. But this Temperance card in her stockings and her red shoes dancing, just, oh yeah, I loved it. So you can see this is, it's quirky. It's sweet. I love the colours in it. I love the way that the energy of the card is depicted. It makes me smile. It's got some real depth. It's just a beautiful, gorgeous deck. And it also has pretty gorgeous backs on it. But also within Gluttony, I thought I'd share some decks that I probably didn't need because I already have the deck. So I have a big Dreams of Gaia, which I love, which was my main deck for this year. You can see this is still in its packaging because I bought it when it was on sale. This is the mini version of Raven Fallan's Dreams of Gaia tarot, to put in my bag to come out doing Adventure Tarot with. Possibly I didn't need it because I've already got the full version. It was the second copy of a deck I've ever bought. again, it's wrapped up because it's going to be a Christmas present to myself. Another Christmas present to myself, which is a second deck, which I got second hand for £8, is a Shower Yam Black Rose deck. Now, I'd already got this deck in its modern Blue Angel version. So I suppose this is Gluttony because I've got two of them, haven't I? But I wanted to track down the old version of this because I have the old version of this deck, which I found in the Chalicewell Gardens in Glastonbury. And I wanted to be able to put them together. And I do love the borders on them. So those are the backs, just such beautiful backs on them. And you can see that they are going to just pair up beautifully. And I think I'm going to just put this all together and make one big deck with this. And I know that in Cheryl Yan Black Rose's writing, she does talk about putting these decks together and using them together. So that's why I got this deck, even though I've already got one version of it. If I compare it to the Blue Angel version, you can see that the this one is sort of matte cardstock. These are the backs on this one as opposed to this. I by far prefer these backs. And I think there's something about this artwork that just looks good bordered. I just think the artwork is suited to this layout. So yeah, I was really pleased to find this, but I'd already got the deck, so I suppose that's Gluttony. Now for the last one, Sloth, a deck that you use when you feel lazy. Now I've seen a few people pull oracles for this, but for me, with my oracles make me work just as hard, to be honest, as my tarot does. So I was surprised at that. So I am going to share a tarot for this, and it's the Lightseers Tarot. Now this deck, I just feel like this deck reads itself. It is just so clear to put the cards down and to see the message with, and I think really that's one of the reasons it is so popular, because the imagery in the cards, it just makes it so easy to read tarot. So if I just want to not work too hard and just put cards down and to know what the message is without having to think, without having to work too hard, like when I've had a week where I've been poorly, then this is the deck I go to, the Lightseers. So that's it. That's my decks for the 7 Deadly Sins. Thank you, Sylvain, for doing this brilliant tag. Thank you for your channel. I am loving spending time over there, and I possibly look like a stalker over there, which is probably because I am, but yeah, great. I've loved this tag so much. I've loved watching people's responses, which I'm slowly getting through, watching them all. I want to see all of them. I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.